Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you're interested in today's video. Surprisingly, the US has proactively lifted its sanctions, a move that seems unbelievable, like the sun rising in the West. Recently, the US announced that it is considering approving NVIDIA's sale of H200 chips to China. This news has caused a major stir in the global chip industry. It's important to understand that the H200 chip has long been one of the US's key trump cards in the chip industry. Since its inception, it has been subject to sanctions and has never been able to enter the Chinese market. Given the current intense competition between China and the US in the technology sector, this sudden goodwill from the US is truly perplexing. The strategy behind the US granting access. In November 2023, NVIDIA launched a high-end AI chip called the H200. At that time, as the world's most advanced AI chip, the H200 boasted nearly double the processing speed and half the power consumption compared to commonly available AI chips. Whether used for training large language models, advancing autonomous driving research, or conducting scientific simulations, it provided core computing power, making it a must-have in the AI industry at the time. However, shortly after its release, the H200 was added to the US export control list. In 2024, NVIDIA attempted to circumvent the controls by launching a lower-spec version of the H20 chip, briefly exporting it to China. But in 2025, the Trump administration further tightened the ban, prohibiting the export of even the H20 chip. The US's purpose was clear: to completely curb the development of China's AI chip industry. So, why did this increasingly aggressive stance suddenly take a 180-degree turn? In reality, a little thought reveals that the US's relenting was not out of a change of heart, but rather concealed multiple calculations. Some experts even suggest that NVIDIA couldn't withstand the pressure any longer. It's worth noting that China was once a key market for NVIDIA, contributing nearly 30% of its global high-end chip revenue. But the escalating export restrictions have reduced NVIDIA's market share in China to almost zero. Based on its 2024 financial report, NVIDIA lost approximately $50 billion in potential market share. Seeing its market share about to be completely replaced by domestically produced chips, the US hastily approved the H200 program. More importantly, NVIDIA had already released its next-generation Blackwell chip, with performance far exceeding the H200, as early as March 2024, rendering the H200 obsolete. The US attempted to sell it for a good price while it still had value, while maintaining its monopoly on cutting-edge technology. This move was essentially a form of inventory dumping. Furthermore, in July of this year, NVIDIA was summoned by the Cyberspace Administration of China due to backdoor security risks. Given this precedent, whether the H200 approval is a benevolent gesture or a ticking time bomb remains to be seen. Ultimately, all of the US's approval measures are aimed at protecting its own interests. 2. Domestic technology as a foundation for anti-hegemony. Trump's attempt to use the H200 chip to restrain China has clearly miscalculated. Following the news of the US easing restrictions on H200 chips, there were initial concerns that domestically produced chips would suffer a setback. However, the market only experienced a brief, minor fluctuation before stabilizing. This clearly demonstrates that domestically produced chips are now vastly different from what they were before. As early as 2018, Huawei launched its first domestically produced AI chip, the Ascend 910. Today, some performance aspects of its Ascend 910B and Ascend 910C chips have surpassed those of the H200 chip. Meanwhile, companies like Cambricon and Mostrex have quickly filled relevant market gaps. According to a Morgan Stanley report, China's chip self-sufficiency rate reached 34% in 2024 and is projected to rise to 82% by 2027. The process of domestic chip substitution is accelerating. This spirit of breakthrough is not only reflected in the AI chip field. In high-end fields such as life sciences, Chinese companies are also breaking foreign monopolies through independent research and development. This technological confidence has also won market recognition. Just as domestically produced AI chips have gradually surpassed NVIDIA's chips, this demonstrates that Chinese companies, in every field, have proven through concrete actions our ability to independently develop and break monopolies. 3. The global AI chip landscape is under restructuring. The rise of domestically produced chips is far more than simple substitution. It marks the beginning of a new journey towards the global market. With continuous improvement in technological maturity, domestically produced AI chips are accelerating their expansion into overseas markets. Huawei's Ascend chip has partnered with Telkomsel, Indonesia's largest telecom operator, and Cambricon's Xiyuan series chips have successfully secured orders worth over $200 million in the Middle East. This shows that the international market's recognition of domestically produced chips is constantly increasing. Looking to the future, with continued increases in R&D investment, breakthroughs in high-end fields for domestically produced chips will continue to be achieved, potentially allowing them to further penetrate the European and American markets and compete with international chip giants. The US's approval of the H200 chip program, a seemingly minor concession, cannot hinder the firm steps of China's chip industry towards independent development. China's chip industry has powerfully demonstrated its strength, proving that it can not only break through external blockades but also occupy an important position in the global market, reshaping the competitive landscape of the global chip market.